Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the franchise. So I know things are a little different today. Back to the original setting, the original chair, sofa. Actually, I guess the original spot was my bedroom floor, but for the most part, last time I sat here to do a video for this channel was when I was still VM Sports. That didn't end too long ago, but doing videos here for the most part did. But every once in a while, you will probably see me here just in case if something comes up, something major happens with any of the sports teams or in sports in general, major enough at least. I'll probably be here in an impromptu doing an impromptu video, just to get it covered. And there are a couple things. The biggest thing is March Madness. I know it didn't happen last year, the NCAA tournament, because of COVID, obviously, but it is happening this year. And it's very interesting. The bracket's very interesting. There's some teams left off that are normally there. They've been there pretty much my whole life, even though I don't really regularly follow college basketball, but for them to not be there, it's really interesting. But I'll get into that later. I'll fill out my bracket. It's going to be fun. I'm going to have some sort of method to figure this out. Maybe I'll flip a coin or something. I don't know, but we'll figure it out. It's going to be interesting. My bracket's probably going to be horrible, but we'll see how it goes. So to start off with some recent news. So my videos where I do them now, they're delayed. I do them on a certain day. We make them on a certain day. They have to go through the process of getting edited and all that. It's a way more complicated process than what I can do. They come out way better than what the product that I put out here. It's just way better. So it's worth it. It just it's just the process. So the video that I'm talking about hasn't come out yet. It's where I talked about it with some of the other guys that my guests. We basically covered the Patriots signings up until it was Monday. So today is the 17th. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way. So today is Wednesday the 17th. It was Monday the 15th where we recorded that video and talked about the Patriots signings as of that Monday. And there have been some moves since then, so I wanted to kind of cover that today on this instead of waiting until another video, because later today I'll also be recording. I'm actually going to have a former NFL running back, John Hillman, for the New York Giants. He last played in 2019. He'll be a guest on my show. He'll be zooming in tonight for a pretty interesting interview, short, to the point, but it's something, it'll be nice little nice guest there to really get things going on this channel. So to jump right into the news though, I'll start off with the Patriots. Since Monday, is actually pretty early the next morning, yesterday morning on Tuesday, the Patriots signed tight end Hunter Henry. Now that is arguably the biggest move that the Patriots made so far. It's not the biggest contract, it's not the longest contract, it's not the most money, but it's very interesting because they had already signed Jonnu Smith, and now they bring in another, tight end. They were the top 2 tight ends on the market. They're top 10 tight ends in the NFL, talent-wise, age-wise, production. So this is a very, very interesting signing. It kind of just brings back memories of the Gronk and Aaron Hernandez. Brings back that combination, the tight end, the 2 tight end combination when they're always on the field and whatnot. Hunter Henry is a bigger tight end than Jonnu Smith. Jonnu Smith's 6'3", 250, I believe. Hunter Henry's 6'5", around the same weight, 250. They're both 250 to 260. So he's more of a traditional tight end, Hunter Henry, but they both bring an absolutely different dynamic to this offense that has not been there for a long time. Even when Gronk was still here, he was obviously deteriorating towards the end before he retired here, before his return to Tampa. But he just didn't have it. And the last couple of years, the Patriots basically haven't had anything at the tight end position, which is really weird to talk about with what we saw from the early 2010s to basically 2015, 16. So to not have that position filled, and to you draft guys like David Asiasi and Dalton Keene, they haven't worked out. They didn't really do much. Rookies don't really do much on this team in general. Bill doesn't seem to like them, but it says a lot that 2 tight ends have been signed. It was the 2 top tight ends. You dished out over $10 million per year to both of them, and this is fresh off of 2 third-round pick tight ends the year before. So it says a lot about those picks, unfortunately. I think I mentioned that in the last video, even with just Jonnu signing, but Hunter Henry makes that just a lot more apparent. So that's tough. I love the signing. Now you have Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne. Those are probably your 4. They're your 2 receiver, 2 tight end sets for the most part. Those are going to be the 4 players that are lined up as pass catchers. It's what you're going to probably see most of the time. I don't know what the deal is with N'Keal Harry. I know Julian Edelman is hurt, and he might not even make it to the season. He's banged up, so that's tough. But I love the signing so far. They actually just today signed Ted Karras. He was obviously on the team. He was the backup center for a while. He played when David Andrews was out in Tom Brady's last year. David Andrews, it's looking likely that he's gone, which is a big blow. It sucks. I hate to see it, but it's a business. It's football, and unfortunately, it sounds like he's going to go to Miami. So it's not official yet. I guess he could come back here, but to give Ted Karras a $4 million deal on 1 year, it seems they're preparing for David Andrews to leave. And it sounds like Adam Butler just signed recently with the Dolphins too, so a lot of guys are going to play in Miami. I don't blame them, especially if they're getting some money. They're going to go play with Brian Flores as their coach, which makes sense. He seems like a good coach, and he seemed like a good coach here. Oh, and by the way, we have the Nora pillow. We didn't have that before. She's laying over here, but my mom decided it was a good idea to get a pillow like that. It's funny looking. But anyways, to get back on topic, the Patriots have had a great offseason so far. Obviously, free agency is the only thing that's happened, but they still somehow have, I think it's between 19 and 20-something, mid-20s, $20 million. So to make all these moves and still have that money, maybe there's a quarterback on the horizon, maybe there isn't, but I don't know if it's Jimmy Garoppolo, Deshaun Watson, possibly. That would be really nice. I doubt it, though, but we'll see what happens. At least Deshaun Watson has come out and said that he does not want to play for New York or Miami. So if he doesn't come here and he goes somewhere else, it doesn't come to New England to play for the Patriots, and he ends up somewhere else. At least we know it probably won't be in the division, which is always great news when a top 10 quarterback in the league is not coming to your division. So that's really it with the Patriots. The Bruins had a great win last night, 2-1, after just getting smoked by the Penguins. Pittsburgh Penguins the night before. On a back-to-back, they played the Penguins. The rookie goalie, Vladar, he looked great. Only allowed 1 goal, so he stepped up. That's really nice. I still think the Bruins need to make a move. I've said it a million times, and I'll keep saying it. Go get at least a wing. Use your first-round pick. If you can try to get Jack Eichel, go ahead. It's probably not happening. You're going to have to give up a whole lot. But we'll see what happens. Celtics, they have a tough loss last night against the Utah Jazz. What are you going to do? The Jazz are the best team in the league. It was an 8-point loss. Tatum and Brown finally looked like they clicked on the same night. It's really the last time I can remember seeing that. I don't know when the last time this season I saw them really both have pretty good shooting nights. It just didn't work out. Marcus Smart didn't look good in his limited play. Daniel Tice looked okay. You didn't have You have Tristan Thompson. He's involved in trade rumors with the Raptors. So we talked about trade rumors in my last video that was posted, the mid-season discussions, and in the video that's still yet to be posted that I've talked about before, mentioned it earlier in this video. But those will happen. Those will come out, and moves will have to be made by the Celtics. It just has to be done. There's no other way around it. The same thing can be said for the Bruins. Like these teams need to make moves. It has to be done, and if it's not done, then they're not going anywhere. They're probably not winning anything anyways. Tampa Bay still exists, the Lakers and the Nets, and it's going to be Lakers and Nets finals probably, but it would be really nice to just see what these teams can do to try to make us think like that they're in it, at least, So that's really it with the Bruins and Celtics. The Patriots we've already talked about. So I have a little bit of Red Sox to talk about. Yesterday, LeBron James became a part-time owner of the Boston Red Sox, which is huge news. That's out of nowhere. It's crazy to think. He's the first African-American owner of a baseball not a baseball team, but maybe a baseball team, or at least partial owner, at least the Red Sox for sure. So maybe this will change some things around here. I don't know what it would change. I don't know why he chose the Red Sox, but it'll be interesting to see where things go from here with the team. They are in spring training right now, so those games are being played, and the season, I've said, officially starts on April 1st, I believe, unless I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I've checked it before, and that's right. So the official opening day for MLB is April 1st. So we'll see how that goes with the Red Sox this season. I think they're a better team than last year. They did let some guys go for basically nothing, Jackie Bradley Jr. and Andrew Benintendi, and to the top names, I'd say, but it's I still think they look better than they did last year. Obviously, Mookie Betts is still not here, so what are their realistic chances at anything? But we'll see. I think all that's really left is the bracket. I kind of just wanted to go through those real quick. So I know a lot of people aren't doing it. I tried doing an online Yahoo bracket for people to join. It's probably not going to happen. I don't blame anyone. Normally, we don't pay attention to the NCAA season anyways for basketball until March Madness starts, and all the more so. This year it has been crazy, and I'm not surprised that people aren't paying attention. So if you're not making brackets, don't worry about it. I'm just kind of doing this for fun at this point. So here's the bracket here. I'm gonna fill this out. I'll read off like the matchups as they go. I might change my mind, honestly. Don't be surprised. I'm gonna have to fill this out on my phone, on websites, on like ESPN, Yahoo, like CBS, and whatever other places, those apps and whatnot. So we'll figure it out, but I really don't know. I really, really don't know. So this is going to be far from a confident bracket, and it's definitely not going to be perfect because there's never been a perfect bracket as far as I know. So at least not in recent memory. So the first thing I want to point out before I even start is the fact that Duke, UNC, and Kentucky aren't here, which is insane. Oh no, UNC is here. Okay, no, North Carolina's there. I don't know why I heard UNC wasn't on there. No, it's just Duke and Kentucky. I don't know why someone said UNC wasn't there. That's false, fake news. So UNC is there. They are the 8th seed in the southern part of the bracket, which is strange to see them as the 8th seed. You usually see them higher. So that's interesting. But I'm going to start off with Gonzaga versus Norfolk State / I think that's Alpatine State. Appalachian. I've seen the name before. They've been in the tournament before, but I'm going to obviously go with Gonzaga. They're playing against the play-in 16 team. So they played the winner of that, and I'm going to go with them. Missouri and Oklahoma. This is an 8 and 9 matchup. I think I'm going to save that one for later. I'm going to bend the rules a little bit here. It is my podcast after all, so I'm going to get back to that later. We don't have to go in perfect order here. You know what? I might start off with the 1 seeds in general. Michigan, I'm going to say Michigan wins over St. Mary's or Texas Southern. Let's go with Baylor over Hartford. Sorry, Hartford. Baylor. That's interesting to see Baylor as a number 1 seed. I know we've seen Michigan and Gonzaga up there, but I don't remember seeing Baylor. And Illinois too. That's another one. I think I'm going to pick Illinois, but of all the number 1 seeds that could get upset, I think they're the most likely. I know Drexel, so Drexel is, I feel like that's going to be a tough matchup, but I'm still going to pick Illinois. They are a number 1 seed for a reason. But yeah, so there's that with the number 1 seeds. Let's go with the number 2 seeds. I think that's the order to do. Iowa and Grand Canyon. I'm going to go with Iowa. We'll get to upsets. We'll see. Alabama is the number 2 seed this year. I'm going to go with them. Alabama. Moving on against Iona. We got Ohio State and Oral Roberts. I'm going to go with Ohio State. Classic. And then Houston versus Cleveland State. I'm going to go with Houston. Okay, so those are I have all the 1s and I have all the 2s moving on. Don't be surprised if 1 or 2 of them is knocked out. I will not be all that shocked whatsoever. So let's go to the number 3 seeds. We got Kansas and Eastern Washington. It always seems like one of these 3 and 14 seed matchups always ends up with an upset, at least one. So I might pick one here. I'm not 100% sure who I'm going to pick. Oh, man. This is really tough. It would have been nice to have done this with someone, All right, for this one, I'm going to take Kansas. Kansas doesn't get upset. I'll roll with Kansas as the 4 seed. Or I'm sorry, the 3 seed against the 14 seed. And then there's Oklahoma State. I know Cade Cunningham. I'm rooting for Cade, so I'm going to go with Oklahoma State over Liberty. Then there's Purdue and North Texas in the South. And the other one is Florida State and UNC Greensboro. See, that's tough. That's a tough one. I'm thinking... Oh, man. This is tough, man. I'm going to say Purdue beats North Texas. But I'm going to say UNC Greensboro upsets Florida State. There's your first upset. 14 seed upsetting a 3 seed. Okay, so 5 and 12. There's always one here too. So we got Creighton and UCSB, Colorado and Georgetown. We got Villanova and Winthrop. Villanova's a 5 seed this year. This is crazy. This is different. And Tennessee and Oregon State. So right off the bat, I'm going to say Villanova beats Winthrop. And I'm actually going to put an upset here. I'm going to say Georgetown over Colorado. So on that part of the bracket on the East, I'm going to have 2 upsets playing each other. So that's probably not going to happen. We'll see. But I have Georgetown and UNC Greensboro, the 12 and 13 seeds, playing against each other in the round of a thing, 32. Interesting. So we'll see how that goes. Creighton and UCSB are the last. That one, and Tennessee and Oregon State are those. Those are the last two. Oh man, I'm thinking Creighton gets upset. I'm gonna have Creighton getting upset. We're gonna have some upsets here. You know, you can't have too many upsets, but you also can't have too many just the higher seeds winning. This is for fun, so we'll see how it goes. But I'm gonna have UCSB beating Creighton and moving on. But I'm gonna have Tennessee moving on after beating Oregon State. Okay, 6 and 11. We got USC versus Wichita State or Drake. We got that. We got BYU and Michigan State or UCLA. I don't even know if these games were already played or not. And then we have Texas Tech and Utah State. And the final one is San Diego State and Syracuse. I know there was a lot of people. A lot of people were angry about Syracuse making it somehow over some teams. So that's tough, but you know, it's the NCAA bracket. I'm just gonna check real quick. Let me see. I'm just trying to see these playing games. I don't believe they happened already, but let me just check. Play-in games. Okay, let's see. These are happening Thursday. Oh, so it starts tomorrow on Thursday. And then the first round will officially start on Friday. Okay, so that makes sense. So the play-in games are tomorrow. Maybe I should have waited for this, but it is what it is. So to start off with the 6 and 11s, USC or Wichita or Drake against one of those two. We got that. BYU and Michigan State or UCLA. And then we have San Diego State and Syracuse, and Texas Tech and Utah State. So to start off, I'm going to go with San Diego State over Syracuse. And I'm actually going to have an upset. I'm going to have Utah State over Texas Tech. So those are two. Then we have USC and Wichita or Drake. So those are the two matchups on the other side, the East and West, against play-in teams. I'm gonna have the higher seeds winning against those play-in teams, even without knowing. I'm gonna have USC moving on against Wichita or Drake, and I'm gonna have BYU moving on against Michigan State or UCLA, which is so strange to say. Michigan State, UCLA, play-in teams, and getting upset or getting beat by BYU. They're the higher seed. It's really weird to think about that, and the fact that Michigan State or UCLA, one of them is going to be out, is really crazy. So they're not going to make it to the tournament. All right, so now we have the 7 and 10 matchups. We got Oregon and VCU. We have UConn and Maryland. Then there is, let's see, Florida and Virginia Tech. And where was I? Clemson and Rutgers. Wow, Rutgers made it. Okay. There's definitely going to be some upsets here. I'm going to start off with VCU upsetting Oregon. I'm going to have UConn beating Maryland. Florida and Virginia Tech. And then Clemson and Rutgers. I'm going to pick Clemson over Rutgers, and I'm going to say Virginia Tech over Florida. And the crazy thing about the tournament this year and like college teams in general is that a lot of players have started to elect from the United States instead of going to school and playing for just a one and done team in college. Is they're either going overseas like LaMelo Ball and RJ Hampton, or there's this program now where they can go to the G League and D League and all these other names, and that they can get drafted through there. They play through there, and they're trying to get more experience. I think they get paid, so it's kind of throws a wrench into the whole NCAA tournament thing, but it kind of helps with other teams that haven't been there to pop up. So we're officially at the 26-minute mark almost, so I'm going to try to speed up a little bit. So we just did the 7 and 10. Now we got the 8 and 9. These are the really close ones. This is pretty much as close as it gets. Oh. Yeah, I forgot. I also have to get back to other ones. There's still Virginia and Ohio. I completely skipped over a couple of these. Virginia and Ohio. I'm going to go with Virginia. Texas and Abilene Christian. Arkansas and Colgate. 14-1 Colgate, huh? And West Virginia and Morehead State. I completely missed the 3 and 14 matchups. So I'm going to say Arkansas over Colgate. West Virginia and Morehead State. Do I have all the Virginia teams move on? I don't know. I'll have Texas. Texas and do I have all the 3 seeds move on? Interesting. Very interesting. Morehead State. I'll have West Virginia move on. All right. Back to the other matchups. That 8 and 9s. We got Oklahoma and Missouri. We have LSU and St. Bonaventure. North Carolina, UNC, and Wisconsin against each other. And Loyola Chicago and Georgia Tech. Loyola Chicago is an 8 seed up there. I remember seeing them before. So to start off, I'm going to say LSU beats St. Bonaventure. I have that. I'm going to have UNC beating Wisconsin. It sucks that they play each other that early, but what are you going to do? UNC. That leaves Loyola Chicago versus Georgia Tech and Oklahoma versus Missouri. I had the 2 8 seeds win on the other side, so I'm going to say Georgia Tech upsets Loyola. And I'm going to have Missouri upsetting Oklahoma. Cool. I don't know how Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, this whole regional thing is weird. They end up on different parts of the bracket, so that's interesting. But moving on. So now we're on the round of 32. Gonzaga versus Missouri. I'm going to have Gonzaga. UCSB versus Virginia. I'm going to have Virginia. USC versus Kansas. I'm going to hold off on that one. VCU and Iowa. I'm going to have Iowa. I got to decide. I basically have to decide there if all the top 3 or top 4 are moving on, but I'll save that for later. Michigan and LSU. That's a tough one, but I'm going to Michigan. Georgetown and UNC. Oh, this is where I had the 2 upsets, the 12 and 13. I'm going to have Georgetown move on. BYU and Texas. I'll save that for later. Alabama and UConn. I'm going to save that for later too. Baylor and UNC. See, this is where it gets tough because Baylor seems inexperienced. But I'll have them move on. I'll have Baylor beating USC. Sorry, USC fans. Villanova and Purdue, I'm going to have Villanova. Utah State and Arkansas. I'll save that for later. That's a 3-11 matchup. Virginia Tech and Ohio State. I'm going to have Ohio State. Illinois and Georgia Tech. I'll have Illinois. Tennessee and Oklahoma State. I'll have Oklahoma State. I like the sound of that. Go Cade Cunningham. Big fan. San Diego State and West Virginia. That's a 6-3 matchup. West Virginia being the 3. I'm going to have the upset. San Diego State over West Virginia. That's Kawhi Leonard's alumni. And then Clemson and Houston. I think I'm going to have the first not real big upset, but a 2 seed. I'm going to have Houston. Do I have Houston losing to Clemson? That's actually, I don't know. Let me think about that one. I'll move on to the other ones I was thinking about. USC and Kansas. Kansas always seems to choke this away, so I'm going to have USC moving on. BYU and Texas. Again, I'll save that. UConn and Bama. I'll have Alabama moving on. That leaves Clemson and Houston. I'll have Houston move on. Unless do I want all the twos? All the twos. You know what? No. Clemson. Clemson it is. Clemson is upsetting the 2 seed Houston. I forget their name. Clemson Tigers, though, are upsetting Houston. So now we have Gonzaga and Virginia. 1 and 4. I'm going to have Gonzaga. USC and Iowa. I'll save that. Michigan and Georgia Tech. Or Georgetown, sorry. Michigan and Georgetown. I'm in Michigan. Oh, I didn't do BYU and Texas for the last round. I'm sorry. BYU and Texas. I'm going to pick BYU. BYU and Bama, though, I'm going to pick Bama. It's a good system they got going on there. Baylor and Villanova. I'm going to have the number 1 seed Baylor getting upset by the number 5 seed Villanova. So Villanova is the first team to upset a 1 seed. Ohio State. Oh, I didn't do Utah State and Arkansas. I'm sorry. I keep missing some of these because I can't decide. Utah State and Arkansas. Oof. That is a tough one. But I'm gonna go with Arkansas. I won't go with the upset. And now that means Arkansas versus Ohio State. I will save that one for later. Also, Oklahoma State and Illinois. I'm gonna have the other number 1 seed upset. Just keep going with Cade. Oklahoma State, is moving on after beating Illinois. San Diego State and Clemson. That is a 6-7 matchup. That's probably not going to happen, but oof, that is tough. Actually, you know what? I'm overthinking this. I'm going to have Houston stay in it. Sorry, I'm shaking everything out of Houston. I'll have them move on against San Diego to play San Diego State, and I'll have them beat San Diego State. I know that's shaky having a team that I had getting upset moving on, but again, I don't know anything, so I'll have Houston moving on. So that leaves USC and Iowa and Arkansas and Ohio State. I'm going to have Ohio State moving on to play Villanova. And USC and Iowa. That's a tough one. USC and Iowa. I'll have Iowa moving on there. All right. Gonzaga and Iowa. I'm going to have Gonzaga. Gonzaga is just, they're the favorites, so it's tough. That was Michigan and Alabama. I'll have Michigan, so the 2 number 1 seeds. That's a great matchup, Gonzaga and Michigan in the Final Four. Villanova and Ohio State. I'm going to have Villanova make it to the Final Four. I think they make it. I'm gonna have no number 1 seeds moving out of the South or the Midwest, obviously. So, or number 2 seeds for that matter, at least out of the South. So that leaves Oklahoma State and Houston. Listen, like I said, I'm a big Cade Cunningham fan, but I don't know. That's a really, really tough one. I think I'm going to go with Houston there. I think his run comes to an end. And so our final 4 is Gonzaga versus Michigan and Villanova versus Houston. That's tough. That is crazy. So Gonzaga and Michigan, I'm going to have Gonzaga. And on the other side with Villanova and Houston, I'm going to have Villanova go to the finals. I know it's crazy, but Villanova as the 5 seed on their South bracket, I'll have them going to the finals. But in the end, I'm going to have Gonzaga going all the way, which I know a ton of people will have, but it's different. It's just different. I don't have the score. I can't come up with a score right now, but I'm going to have Gonzaga and Villanova. That's it. Again, this is subject to change. I have a couple of days, so it is what it is, but we'll figure it out. All right, yeah. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate it. I was happy to be back here for at least one video. You know, there'll probably be more at some point coming, but they'll be sprinkled in. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the support. I couldn't have gone from VM Sports, the franchise, without all of you, without some really specific people helping me. Not gonna put out any names yet, and I'm looking forward to the interview with John Hillman tonight. It's gonna be really fun, and it's gonna be really interesting, and it's gonna be a new experience, and I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.